Welcome to Community Conversations with State Attorney Bain, your talk show for insights on the criminal justice system, community issues, and public safety in Orange and Osceola counties. Join State Attorney Andrew Bain as he dives into the issues that matter most to you, keeping it real every step of the way.
All right, hello everyone. How's everybody doing this afternoon? It's hump day after a long weekend. We are here to talk about some criminal justice issues that are going on in our community. Let's talk about our community, talk about how we are going to get our community together on this good hump weekend. There's like me fighting with this bow tie right now. It's a little crazy, but I'm super excited to be here with you all and super excited to have our guests on our show today. I like to start the show with a couple of updates about what's going on with the office and to just give you a little rundown, what happens, what happens at the state attorney's office? What do we do around this place? As you all know, my name is Andrew Bain. I'm the state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit. Means I'm the chief prosecutor for Orange and Osceola County. And we've been very busy for the past week. So since last time we spoke last Wednesday, we've had a lot of great cases go to trial. We had a couple of homicides go to trial. We had a sex crimes case go to trial with successful prosecution. But I want to highlight today a little bit about what our violent crimes unit has been doing. They've been on fire for the past couple of months. We've been really addressing some shooters that have been out in our community for way too long. We have taken them off the streets. We have made sure that we have put our best foot forth in effort to make sure that we are going to succeed in being a great, safe community. And so that's one of my biggest things that you hear me talk about a lot. Is making sure that we're going to be able to continue to be a safe and prosperous community. And that really has a lot to do with the work we do at this office and our ability to hold people accountable. And so I'm always pumped up to give them a big shout out to our violent crimes unit, making sure that we are addressing those issues. A few weeks ago, we had a big press conference surrounding our Dirty 30 operation, involving the fentanyl crisis that's going on here locally and nationwide. And so it's a real problem. So I don't know how to encapsulate it in a way. So let's look at a statistic that we're working with one of our partners, Recovery Connections, in dealing with some of the opioid issues that we have locally. And they gave a statistic that over 7,000 people in Florida died of overdoses last year. And so that's a shocking number. That's a number that should raise some eyebrows about what's going on. And that's 7,000 number even with the Narcan that we push out to a lot of our community partners, that we all those things that we kind of do on a day-to-day basis in making sure that we're going to be able to be okay when coming in contact with fentanyl, because it is one of those drugs that just by it coming in any orifice of your body, whether it's through your eyes or your nose or through your mouth or anywhere it can get into your bloodstream, could have a deadly effect. And we're talking about a drug that in the amount of just a pen tip worth of this substance that comes over our border could kill you. And so it is something that's super problematic for the people in our community. We also had some new legislation passed to protect more law enforcement officers that are exposed to fentanyl. That if you purposely or knowingly or recklessly expose a law enforcement officer to fentanyl, that's really dangerous. That you could be against some really big problems and really big trouble. So that also put onuses on people that use drugs, not just drug dealers. And so the drug dealing is where the issue really comes about. We have now, in the last year, have seized enough fentanyl in this state to kill everybody in this state a couple times over. And so that is something that we really need to continue to address inside of our community. And we are committed here at my office to make sure that we're going to try to get these gangs that push these drugs, the drug traffickers that bring these drugs into our community. We're going to hold them accountable because you selling that pill to somebody knowing that it could kill them is a crime, and we will hold you accountable for that. And so that is something that we have been really working hard in fighting against on a day-to-day basis. So that's really what's been going on that front. Always about the community, always about reaching out to the community. I was actually in Osceola for the first time last week for one of our de-escalation forums with law enforcement. We were with the Kissimmee Police Department. We were at Osceola High School, working with the Osceola High School football team, teaching them de-escalation techniques when they're encountering law enforcement, reducing their likelihood of feeling nervous and doing something that could cause them to get in trouble while engaging with a law enforcement officer, teaching them about their rights and responsibilities involving that interaction, and just kind of making them feel more comfortable about just being around law enforcement, that they are people that are there to help them and to help you. And that's really their main job. They go to work every day to try to help somebody. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But that's really what the goal is. And so super excited to have finally been able to get to Osceola and be able to get one of our de-escalation forums off the ground and making sure that happens. We will be back. We'll be in South Apopka next week for a police forum, police community forum with our partners at the Central Florida Urban League. And we will be meeting there in Apopka, I believe on the 12th, to meet with the kids in South Apopka and have them meet some of the deputies that patrol that area. And again, trying to build those relationships, build that bridge, making sure that everybody feels good about the communities they live in and the people that are there to support those communities. And so that is something that also is obviously one of my main goals, is continue to bridge any gaps that we have between our law enforcement and our community partners, so we can do our jobs better. When people feel comfortable about the people that are doing their job and again to keep them safe, and they feel that they're actually there to do that, then we have trust. And then all the agencies that are involved, whether it's the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Kissimmee Police Department, whether it's Orlando Police Department, and where is my office, we will all become trusted agents of the people so that we can get that off the ground. So super excited for that to be the case. And so we can get on to where we really want to be as a community and continue to drive our crime numbers down, continue to drive our homicide numbers down, continue to drive especially the overdose deaths that we have in our community down. And so that is something that I am passionate about and something that we work hard to do. And it's something that I'm super excited that we have a prospect of continuing to do. And I think we're going to be successful at the end of the day. And so some of the people, people that kind of helped the success of that and has helped the success of that, especially in my early career. I want to bring on my good friend, Sadia Baxter, Baxter now.
Hello, everyone.
And Sadia and I were together very early in my career as a prosecutor. She was a Kissimmee police detective back then. And I will let her tell a little bit about that story. But she's been through kind of in law enforcement, out of law enforcement, on to a different career. Now she's, a doctoral candidate for criminal justice. We're going to talk a little bit about all that journey of kind of, how we kind of stayed together in a way, in some different form or fashion. Now over almost 11 years now, yeah. 10, 11 years, something like that. So welcome. How would you introduce yourself to the people?
Hello, everyone. It's my honor to be here with you, State Attorney Bain, and to all the listeners, hello. I am proud to be an Orange County citizen for most of my whole life. I went to Freedom High School, go Patriots, many years ago, and I started off my journey with a passion to serve. I was a dual enrollment student at Valencia, so I know what the hustle was with my dad dropping me off to school. And just like I knew that I wanted to serve in some way. So I started my career. I studied at the University of Central Florida, political science, where I emphasized in international relations, comparative politics, minor in psychology, minor in business. What was my next step? Like I said, passionate about serving. For me, that passion grew when I continued to do ride-alongs with police officers. I did a few ride-alongs with Orange and Osceola County, to include St. Cloud, and I knew my calling. And my calling has always been to serve. So I joined the police department with the city of Kissimmee. I was a proud police officer, started as a beat officer, patrolling the city. I was happy and eager to learn, super passionate about that. And my journey there, I got my master's while I was at the Kissimmee Police Department in criminal justice. I realized, okay, so passionate about this, but how can I make a difference to future law enforcement officers? So I decided to go back to school so I was able to teach. I taught at Valencia for the past 7 years, another passion of mine. And I continued my journey there where, like you mentioned earlier, I met you when I was a detective at the Kissimmee Police Department. I can remember you in the courthouse with your University of Miami lanyard. I knew then you were a hardcore fan and still very passionate about that college. But like I said, I met you then, and my journey continued in a different way. Not only did I serve in a different way, but I had the privilege of meeting my late husband, Officer Matthew Baxter, while patrolling. We met while we were both patrolling one of the small neighborhoods in Kissimmee. We were both dispatched to a medical assistant, and we were able to provide CPR to an individual who needed our assistance. And I call that our first date. Maybe not a typical first date, but that's what I describe as our first date. We shortly thereafter got married and started a beautiful family together. I knew I wanted to continue to grow. I applied to be a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Again, detective work is also a passion of mine. I was so pumped to now take it to the state level. I got hired as a special agent August of 2017. I made the phone call to Matthew telling him, hey, this is such a great career move for us. We had small children at the time. My youngest was just 7 months. So I was super excited to tell him. And on that journey, I put my 2 weeks notice at the Kissimmee Police Department. At that time, Matthew worked nights as a patrol officer. And again, I was a detective. And on August 18th, 2017, I was watching a family favorite movie at home called Moana. You guys might know it. Listening, if you have little kids, you most certainly know about Moana. This Friday night, that is one of the most days that I will never forget in the course of my life. It was that day when a girlfriend that I went to the police academy called me and said, hey, what are you doing? Are you watching the news? And I advised her that I was not. I was watching Moana with all of our girls. And she said, hey, get dressed. Something happened in the city of Kissimmee. I quickly got dressed and I called Matthew. Matthew did not answer at that time. And I then called our Sergeant Sam Howard. I was a detective and Sam was my corporal. So that way that it works at the city of Kissimmee, it's a police officer, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, and so on. So Sam had just got promoted from my corporal to Matt's sergeant. So I decided to call Sam and no answer. It was my second to last day at the city of Kissimmee as I was transitioning to be a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And I still had my police car and I had my police radio. I had my gun and my badge. And I decided to get on the radio, and I said my ID number 678 to patrol, and they said go ahead, and I asked if someone could tell me where my husband was. With no answer at that point, my girlfriend told me to proceed to the hospital, and I went to the Osceola County Hospital. I got permission to go lights and sirens by the chief of police. And as a police officer, you respond to every single call expecting worst case scenario. You never know if that traffic stop or that domestic violence call that you respond to, what is waiting for you at that time. People typically do not call our law enforcement officers to invite them to a birthday party. It is their worst moment in life for them to need law enforcement assistance. So I drove lights and sirens and playing different scenarios in my head, and I responded to the worst case scenario. It was that day that I found out my late husband, Officer Matthew Baxter, was shot and killed in the line of duty along the side with our Sergeant Sam Howard. It was that day that my life forever changed. I was no longer a police officer. I was a widow to a police officer and a victim to a crime. And a crime that was so heinous that it took Matthew's life. And that began a different journey for me. And I want to tap into that with our viewers as well, because I was no longer just this police officer. I was primarily a mother, focusing on my children. I left my home that day and came home a different woman. I looked at my children, who Sophia was just 7 months when Matthew was killed. Zara was 1.5 years, and Soraya was 6 years old. I looked at their beautiful faces, and I knew that I now have the responsibility of pouring into these children in a different way. I'd like to talk about my grief process and in that, but that's kind of where I was. I got sworn in as a special agent 10 days after Matthew was killed, and I proudly served as a full-time special agent. I worked cyber crimes as well as financial crimes. And I decided to make a hard decision, one of the hardest ones, and now I'm a reserve special agent, still very passionate about our law enforcement family and the career. I will continue to serve all my days in honor of myself, in honor of all of our fallen officers. And I'm endeavoring new journeys, but you've been there along my side throughout this journey. You've seen me on my highs and my lows, and I thank you for that.
Yeah. It's, it was kind of, really today when we spoke earlier, and I was like, hey, can you come on? And it's really because like I was thinking about, really lately we've had quite a few officers around the country, be ambushed and killed in the last couple of months. And obviously last month we were August is always a rough month for you and for me always. I remember that night. It's one of those nights I can recall where I was, what I was doing. I was actually riding through Kissimmee when all of that kind of went down, and then I was like, what is happening? There's lights everywhere. It was one of those surreal moments, and then obviously the phone starts ringing, people calling and stuff like that. So it was, but it's something that I don't think people understand in the public, and when that happens, what that means for not just for you individually, what it means for the law enforcement community. It has this kind of different rippling effect than a regular homicide. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you experienced that. It kind of the difference in what happens when one of the officers are killed in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. When an officer is killed in a line of duty, does affect the community as a whole. Having lived in Orange County since the first grade and serving in Osceola County, I definitely know that the community also ached in our loss. And Unfortunately, the loss is not just in 2017. My girls and I have different milestones that we encounter, that we no longer have that. We still grieve. So I describe our journey as something that we will always move forward, but we never move on. And a lot of people watching today may have experienced different losses. Whatever that looks like for you. I lost my sister to asthma. I lost my dad to COVID, and Matthew, so heinously. And every loss is different. That one was so unexpected. Matt was just 26 years old. He had so much passion to serve. Matthew was raised by a mom who was in and out of jail many years, and who provided her best ability as a mother, but he was raised in a troubled home, where she did do drugs and addicted to alcohol. So he saw law enforcement officers as a light. So when he grew up having all these interactions with law enforcement, he decided to make a difference and put on that gun and badge and mentor young men who don't have a father like he didn't. Matt didn't know his father. We don't even know where the last name Baxter came from. He asked me when we married if I was sure that I was going to take that last name, a name he felt like had no heritage, because he didn't have a dad and he didn't know where that side came from. So it was his purpose. And I think it's important for those listening to know that those behind the badge are real people. Matt was a young man who had a family, who came up from a troubled childhood and who made something of himself, and he wanted to mentor young men. He had so many ambitions to open up a home for young men who experienced a troubled childhood like him, to inspire them that you can make a difference. His life may have ended short. His voice now lives through me. I am a proud representative of law enforcement across this nation, for fallen officers, for families of law enforcement, for those who just grieve. And now I will forever live my legacy. I'm creating a legacy. You guys are all creating a legacy, but with those who we lost, a little piece of them live in us.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. It's always a step. It's a step in the direction. I mean, I try to describe it. I think my first I've had friends killed when I was younger. But I think my really first up close to a homicide was when one of my teammates was killed, Brian Pata, and it was one of those things, like, it just sticks with you. Like, you don't, like you said, like you kind of go forward, but you don't move on. Mm-hmm. And I try to describe it as kind of like, it's like throwing a stone into a lake with no shore. And right. It's kind of like this kind of rippling thing that happens, going on and on throughout our community and in your life. And so, like, trying to understand that and trying to encapsulate that. And that's why I always try not to downplay those realities especially when talking to homicide survivors or speaking to somebody in the community. I'm like, it's very it's not something that just goes away and just gets better tomorrow and you can just get over it. And so it's something that, I think that everyone, no one should be in the part of this club, but, unfortunately, there are people that are.
Absolutely. And it's a hard, we're a family, right? There's a lot of us even locally, and time goes on. It's been approximately 7 years for us. And my girls are still young. Sophia is now 7. Zara is 8 and Soraya is 14. And I think it's important that we don't forget about the families that serve us and that are no longer here. Matt and Sam sacrificed their life for the city of Kissimmee and for our community. And I think it's just important to remember, up front, there's so much love and support, but it's important to continue that. Because the girls don't know their daddy Matthew. All they know about him is what those who they meet share. I know you had the privilege of meeting Matt when you were starting off, and I just think that those stories that people have are super important as we continue our journey in grief and stuff like that. And the reality is, as soon as Matt passed, I questioned, do I continue in this law enforcement profession? At the time, there was so much animosity towards our law enforcement profession. Matt and Sam were killed because of their uniform. The individual who killed them saw a gun and a badge, and that is what killed them. But the reality is, in my tragedy, I questioned it just for a moment, because I saw a nation come together who support our law enforcement officers. We hear about so many negative things. The reality is, there's so many people that do support our law enforcement officers and who care about their families and stuff like that. So on the contrary, I saw that, and I see still so much support from strangers who appreciate the sacrifice that our family has made throughout the years and continues to make. Like, the girls miss their daddy didn't get to take them to their first day of school, but the law enforcement community kind of got to take them for their first day of kindergarten. So stuff like that really matters to them as small children, to see that their daddy sacrificed his life and passed as a hero. Is truly important. And then, like I said, I questioned myself, and then I made a decision to move forward in their honor and to honor myself. Life is short, life is beautiful, and we can move forward and press forward. And in that, several years later, I'm proud to say I'm newly married. I'm married to a wonderful man who proudly served as a Marine as well as a law enforcement officer with the Osceola County Sheriff's Department. He served there for many, many years, and now is a chief of police of the Sarasota County School Board. And his support and understanding our loss is truly invaluable. Our case is still going on. We had the honor of being represented by amazing, amazing people, to include Ryan Williams, who not only took this case as just another case. You guys became my family. And for those listening, I think that it's important for people to understand that you guys, in the role that you're in, you don't see a case as in this is just people. You adopt these cases as if they were your loved ones. Ryan had went to my daughter's birthday party. I mean, anything I needed. And I know the same for you, that it is so important that we have leaders that continue to not only see us as just a case now that I'm on the other side, but see us as a family. And in that, trial is still going on, and it will be, as it's a death penalty case. We went to appeal. Jacob and I, who's my husband, went to the appeal that took place at the Florida State Supreme Court just last year. And his support is just so invaluable too. He's very knowledgeable. I'm still learning now on a different side versus a police officer who is seeing a different side of this criminal justice system that we live in. With that, I have a passion now to serve in a different way. As you mentioned earlier, I'm recently been admitted to the University of Central Florida's criminal justice doctoral program. I'm super proud of that. I am a proud Knight, like I mentioned, for undergrad, graduate, and now PhD school. I'm super proud to incorporate all my passions: criminal justice, policing, in the line of duty deaths, just all my passions, and serving one in this circuit. Orange and Osceola County are my passions, as I've resided here most of my life. So I have a long journey ahead of me with this PhD program, but it's also tying into how important it is to have a relationship with researchers. You know, there's so much policies that come into effect with research that's being taken place throughout the United States. And I'm blessed to just, right now, I'm like just tippy-toeing in there. I have great mentors who are mentoring me and teaching me. I have a lot to learn, but my goal is to be an expert in criminal justice. So I'm able to serve our citizens in a different way. I'm at the learning stages. I'm super excited, one, to continue to build my own legacy, to honor our fallen officers, to honor our law enforcement officers who continue to proudly serve. There's so many great men and women who put on their gun and badge every single day who do good. And I think that it's important that they are appreciated.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I think that well, I guess we'll leave it at this. One of the biggest crimes that we can do to each other is to humanize each other. and it happens way too often. It happens when when that happened, because Sam Howard, Sergeant Sam Howard, was again really close friend, close guy. He's one of my first witnesses. He is the first witness I ever put on the stand as a prosecutor, and to he's a former sniper, military guy, Kissimmee legend, and who didn't know Sam and Kissimmee. And so it then also with Matt as well. So it's just one of those things of, these are all people that their profession is law enforcement. Like my profession, it's a profession. It's something that we love to do, but it does not just make up who that person is. And so you have to continue to see everybody, and whether it's somebody doing something that you think is wrong, is that you see them as a person first, and then we can address the attitudes. And just for everybody's notice, the Florida Supreme Court did uphold the death penalty conviction and sentence, and so there's another appeals process that goes through before it's finalized. So the death penalty situation, we'll do a whole segment on that one show, just to kind of walk people actually through that process and what that means, and all the different hurdles before a governor actually signs a death warrant. But my good friend, I love you.
I love you too.
I hope to see you soon, and we will get together. Hopefully after my life is not as crazy.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for what you do. Thank you for humanizing police officers. Thank you for humanizing yourself and in your position. I just thank you for serving our citizens with dignity. It's invaluable to me as a citizen. It's invaluable. I'm proud to raise my kids in this community. So keep up the great work, and thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch gears. We're doing talking about some really heavy things just now. But I have to tote a little bit of pride right now because as you just heard Sadia talk about, we talk about how the University of Miami took these old Gators down this weekend, good old beat down in the swamp. And we're going to talk a little bit about college football, because it's something that's important to me, because as so many of you know, I played at the University of Miami, and I played with my guest I'm just bringing on right now. It used to be a hard hitter. I don't know, I got to talk trash to him a little bit, but he is my good friend Brandon Merriweather, and we're going to talk a little bit about a little CFB. After we, I guess 1.5, I guess I'll call it, since Florida State went out to across the pond to get beat, to come home to get beat. And so, our good friend Howie had a very interesting video that he posted the other day. And I guess he's throwing in the towel for the season. I was like, man, after week 2, just throwing in the towel. I don't know if you can't do that, man. So, but we have a 12-team playoff this year, which should be interesting. So for everybody to know, so the Power 5 teams have a guaranteed, their champion has a guaranteed spot in a bye week, and then there's just a kind of a fill in the gaps at that point. So I'll get my good friend to give me his rundown of what he thinks some of the top teams are. I think we got Georgia at number 1. Is that right?
Correct.
And it was the Alabama. Look at it. It's Alabama number 2.
Nah, you
But
got Ohio State.
Yeah.
Texas, Alabama, Oregon. Granted, I think Oregon should be at like 12.
It was like with Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre Dame actually beat Texas A&M, and they beat them pretty convincing. So I could see them in the top 10. Like Michigan should be, later too. Like they should be like, 10, 11, 12, but they got them at like 7. So I have no idea what is coming.
We got some interesting people in here. I mean, I don't know the last time I saw Ole Miss up in the top 10.
Me either, bro. Me either. But
it's been a long time since I seen that.
But apparently they making it out for Ole Miss to be one of the best teams in the country. But you know how that go. Ole Miss will start off early and then they'll end up, losing 4 in a row. You know how that go.
So what are your predictions? I mean, because we have the NIL going on. We got the transfer portal, which is like open free agency every year, and I don't even know how. Back when we played, I don't even know how you can even compete or play in this type of league. So, kind of give me, what do you think about that?
Honestly, man, I think we missed out. Like for real though. Think about it, right?
Yeah.
When you came out, bro, you was a top 5 in the country offensive lineman?
I was like 1 or 2. Yeah.
My point. So imagine, bro, you'd have been getting $500,000, $600,000 to $1 million just before you even came to college.
Yeah, it would have been a lot. Like that meal plan would not be living on that meal plan. Know that.
I'm trying to tell you, I would, because I like the meal plan. I still to this day, I'm like, man, I missed the meal plan. You tripping?
I'm saying, man. I was talking to my parents the other day, and I was like, man, the meal plan was good for about like the first month, and after that, it was like a lot of grilled cheese.
Right. You got tired of it. You're right. You get tired of it.
It was like grilled cheese sandwiches at that point. And then they had the nerve to not even feed you on the weekend. I was like, what kind of craziness is this?
But now they eat at the heck now. They got a private chef, you know what I mean? They eat what they want. Like it's different now, man. And that's what I keep trying to tell everybody. Like, man, we missed out. Like, I love the way it is right now. Like, I absolutely love it.
I love it. I guess my only thing is trying to think about, are they as hungry as
No, because we did it with a purpose. Their purpose is to get paid right now.
Yeah.
We was trying to feed our family. Like we was trying to do it to get to the lead. Like we played harder. We wanted it more. Of course.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we got to see what the quality of the game is going to be over the next few years. And that's kind of, because it's everybody's concern. Like, so is the quality of the game going to suffer for that? No. Yeah, no. You don't think so?
No, not at all. I actually think the quality of the game now is going to get better. Because when we was coming out, like it was only certain schools that could pay you because they knew how to do it up under the radar. Like I had 4, 5, 6 schools come to me talking about how they gonna pay me, like and I just happened to go to the one school who said they wasn't. So like it's still gonna be the same, but now everybody could do it. So all the teams who was paying, who was at the top all these years, now they see now that everybody could do it. So now it's gonna be an even playing. Like I have no doubt in my mind the reason Saban retired was because everybody got to do what he was doing for years. So now you ain't gonna get all the big players every year. You ain't finna be guaranteed, 4, 5, 5 stars every year. You ain't doing that no more.
I agree. Yeah, everybody get a duffel bag of money, and especially in the SEC.
Exactly.
I was like, everybody got a duffel bag of money for the SEC.
But that's why you're gonna start seeing like Miami's finna start back winning, and then you're gonna see the Florida States, they gonna start back winning because please believe me, Florida and Florida State finna pay. They gonna pay eventually. Mm-hmm. So you'll see them teams back good. UCF, you'll see them end up being good because now they could compete with some people by getting the money. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be people like that who gonna find a way to win now. Yeah,
everybody's gonna get a couple billionaire boosters in there, and try to build up your program and try to get them to donate. And I'm interested. I mean, I think, I guess the question is, everybody can pay now, but can everybody, get those, get those donors that need it,
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, think about it, bro.
I'm thinking about like schools like, like the Georgia Techs and those different, like, like they're still AACC D1 college schools, but the Virginias, like, so let's think about ACC, for instance, the Virginias and VTechs and things like that. Like, how much money people spend in Blacksburg, Virginia? We got to figure that out.
D Hall gave his school VTech $1 million last year.
Yeah, but that's just one player,
right? But I'm using him as the example. Like, if you think he the only one giving back,
the guys that I see give back, like the ones, for instance, for University of Miami, the ones I see give back, not even give back, but the ones that just in their spending are, they're billionaire level people. So, they have, multiple billions of dollars, and so they can fund what's $10 million for the next 10 years.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Every school got a big booster that could do that.
Yeah. We got to figure it out. I'm just interested to see.
Like, even you got a billionaire that went to the school. Now, is he donating back to the school like that? Now, that's different. But like, every school got somebody that could do that, because most people just using that as a tax write-off.
All right. Yeah, I see it. I can see it. I'm just looking forward to seeing how we're going to get the game as exciting as it was. I just feel like it's more like the NFL now. It's more business oriented.
It is, and it's gonna be like that. I don't think it'll ever get back to the fun way we was playing it, but it still will be, just as entertaining. Like, that Florida game for us was super entertaining. Like, that was one of the best games we've seen in a while. You know what I mean? Like, the LSU and USC game. That game was super entertaining.
No, it was. I think that game was really good. We were hoping. Well, I guess the BC FSU game was entertaining for me. But
it was entertaining for me too. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It was entertaining for me. But yeah, I think that there's like the Notre Dame game was good. I think that there are a lot of good games going on. I'm just concerned, I guess. In the long term of the game, how's it gonna turn out? And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the NCAA kind of missed the boat on regulating it, because they were so, we're not gonna pay nobody. Nobody's getting paid, and now they.
I think the problem with the NCAA had, they didn't think that it would get like this fast. I think they was thinking like, okay, it'll take a while for us to get there, so it's okay. So let the schools do whatever they do, and then people start, going crazy with it.
Yeah, I see that, man. They went beyond crazy. I think like immediately, and then we had, not only did that happen, we also had a lot of the states start passing laws. So Florida started passing laws. Other states started passing laws, before the NAACP, like before things got out of hand. But now we are in the process of trying to figure all that out now, and so to make sure that we're going to be able to do it.
Right, but I think the NCAA gonna step in eventually. I just hope they step in after Miami win 2 or 3. You know what I mean?
I'm more concerned about the federal government stepping in, because that's really where.
How can the federal government step in?
Because they can regulate sports. I mean, they've done it before in different ways.
How? This
right laws, man. They pass laws all the time. And so, and that's where, I mean, I'm thinking about, I wouldn't mind them requiring, passing laws requiring, like we talked about before, some of these kids to invest some of that money, not just like, buy Lambo trucks and have them parked out in front of the athletic center, put some of that money away, sir. Like provide, if you're going to do this, provide, some like retirement like the NFL does, or this is just, we're just talking about football. We're talking about, but just like the NBA, for basketball, or MLB for baseball, you have to provide, something for these kids to, have on the back end, because, they're going to blow it. They're 18, 19, 20 years old.
So you think they should make the kids start a 401k?
I think so. I mean, I think that it should be required. Like whatever money you give them, that certain amount, some of that money has to go, whatever percentage of it has to go to some type of retirement account, or like or some kind of trust account, just so they can have something that at the back end, because basically they don't go broke. They're gonna be on broke. It'll be a 30 for 30 ESPN, or 50 for 50. That's what it's gonna end up being, and it'll be a 50 for 50 ESPN, and they're gonna be talking about how they're gonna be another broke for college. That's what's gonna happen.
You seen 13 of the kids at Auburn put some money together to keep 25 foster kids together.
Yeah,
because they put the money up to keep the families together. Like, I think stuff like that is dope, man. So do got some kids out there that's doing the right thing with their money.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying there are some kids some of them are doing some really good things. I mean, I've seen them do some really good charity work just like that. I've seen them, some of them be smart about their investments and go into more business savvy. I just think that there has to be some kind of safeguard there to save them from themselves a little bit. So similarly, why I feel like in the NFL too, though, when first round draft picks, all people, they go in and sign them contracts, and then they be broke, and during while they still playing their contract, which is that's happens.
But no matter what you do, you still gonna have them type of players. Like, no matter what you do.
Yeah, I know. I said before we could hedge it off. I mean, because some of that, you put yourself behind the 8 ball, messing up your credit, everything else before you even, when you did just to yourself, just for not knowing what you're doing. Just tell people, just pay your bills on time and all kinds of stuff like that.
You're right. And I was one of them people who just happened to be a little smarter. I was buying people annuity plans because I was thinking about my retirement. Like, it's like you're gonna have players on both sides of the spectrum, no matter what, no matter how you try to do it. The government could step in. You could force them to have a 401k. You could force them in anything. There's still gonna be players that go broke and players that survive. It's just how it's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see that they're, for the NIL stuff, that they have the one representative for some of the people and stuff like that. Like, I think that even for the alumni, like us, they still have, some things that come through representation, but no same kind of deal that then we can do it. So it was always interesting because for me, signing that scholarship letter every year, for almost $50K, and I'm like, man, who's getting all this money? Because I'll see. I know I'm not getting it. You see myself. I was like, yeah, it's like a fake thing. Like, say, write me a check to myself. That's what it's
right, but
like.
This is my question, though, right? This is my question, right? If you're getting $1 million NIL, do you pay for your own scholarship?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, because what's the thing? I mean, because really, what all it is, you count a loss against yourself when you're the school. So you're saying that, okay, you're taking the loss on the value of this education or this degree or this class this person's taking, since you kind of donating it for free in a way, and that's how they decide wherever that number is. But it's still a fictitious number because nobody paid you and earned it back. and so it's not like a real thing.
Yeah, that's true. But how you know they didn't earn it back though?
I don't know. I know I overpaid, if that's the case.
But you never know. Like the people who giving out NILs, like the people who doing the card NILs, like the Dodge Rams for the whole offensive line of Utah. Like they driving around these Dodge Rams. People seeing them and they liking them. I bet you Dodge that made more money off of them driving them than they would have without.
No doubt. I mean that was the whole thing from before. Like we did it for free back in the day. And that's why it was always kind of a crooked thing for the schools that like, well, I can't do this by myself, but then as soon as you do it, then it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you're involved, because now you're getting the cut and then we're not. And so,
correct.
No different than any other business or Golden Cane or Booster or anything like that, wherever they were allowed to do signage or, stuff at the signing events that we went to, any of that kind of stuff, brought them, their investment back for what they put into the school with boosters.
Right, and that's where I think things start to get hairy at. You know what I mean? Like you got too many people with their hand in the foxhole when we was playing, and we wouldn't get none of it. Like I literally did about 15 signings a year for the University of Miami.
Yeah,
I went to golf events for the school. I went to bowling events for the school. Like I did private dinners for the school. Like I did a bunch for the school and never seen a dime from it.
Yeah.
Like if I was playing today, now you would have to pay me to do all that.
I don't disagree, man. No, I get it. I mean, everybody had a Golden Cane event they had to go to, and this, and that, and all those kind of different things, and the booster events. I mean, you got to get an appearance fee at least nowadays.
Correct.
I'm not mad about because like the education was great. I'll always be forever indebted to the University of Miami for the opportunity to play.
What about FAMU?
And FAM? I didn't play at FAM. For the University of Miami, you're talking about college football. So like for my degree there, I had to pay for my FAMU degree.
So you ain't indebted to them?
I'm indebted to them for the opportunity to show up, but for them to let me in as an unconventional law student. I'm not a normal law student. I'm not from a family of lawyers. Not really from anybody of any stature or ability. Nobody was calling in no favors for me. To get into a law school or signing up to give me an opportunity to do that. So. And I'm not necessarily the greatest standardized test taker. And so FAMU allowed me to, come through and have an opportunity to succeed. Once I got there, you got to succeed, right?
Yeah, you take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, so that's all that was, So same thing when I got to the University of Miami. So I tried to get there, unfortunately I couldn't stay as healthy as I wanted to, but take advantage of the opportunity, get as much as I can out of it.
Yeah, that you did a great job with that though. You did a great job with that, bro.
All right, but well, hold on. Were you watching the game? What are you doing this weekend? You watching the games? What games you watching?
Okay, next week I gotta go. I'm going to Boston next weekend. This weekend, Sunday. This weekend, Sunday, we're doing the same thing at what's the name for the first weekend of NFL. And Saturday, I'm supposed to be going to the box to watch the game.
All right. Well, everybody saw this. That's all cigar box, the warehouse in the Cody.
If you wanna do it at your house, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I was
invite everybody to your house.
Everybody to my house. We'll have a little seafood boil. or something like that. Throw something like that on the smoker.
Yeah, we need to do that, man. Let's do it, man. Let's do it for like a Thursday night game.
All right. Well, they got people that let me free to, go out and be myself. And
yeah, tell them, man. Tell them you need a couple of hours off early on Thursday, man.
I do. One day. Well, hopefully I can get a Thursday. We can do that. We get a Thursday night game in. All right, bro. I appreciate you.
He's starting to get wild now, man. I gotta go punch him in the mouth.
All right, nephew. All right. So, I think it's going to be a very interesting college football season coming up. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises and when we get to the end, especially when it comes down to the 12-team playoff. The championship games mean a lot this year, where in years past they have not meant that much. Where they meant something, but you can still lose that game and still make the playoffs, depending on where you were ranked. But this year, it could be a team that may have a loss, maybe have two losses that may end up being in the second round of the college football playoffs. So it's going to be a very fun college football season to watch. And so I'm super excited. Obviously, I'm cheering on my Canes, and I will always continue to do that. They have FAMU this weekend down in Miami, and so people will be there to watch the band. And so that's going to be a fun time. But I like to close the show every week with a little motivational minute. And so this kind of happened the other day, and it's something that it's something I kind of live by. And my dad, when I was younger, told me, like, he taught me a lot of things. So like, if you hear me talk about my life at any point, you hear me talk about my dad, and my dad being one of the most important people in my life, and kind of set me up to be the man, the servant, the father, the husband, the church leader that I am today. But he was talking to my kids, which is my two daughters. One is having a birthday on Monday, so I'm super excited for my youngest for her birthday. And he was telling them something that he told me growing up. And because, they were talking about, what they're going to be and what they're going to do, and all the things that, that they believe that their future holds for them, which is, always exciting for them to hear them talk about. But he reminded them that in whatever they were going to do, that their job is to help somebody. And so that is the goal. And so we want to make sure that whatever you do in this life, whatever your profession is, whatever your your vocation, your assignment, your job, however you want to describe it, that you're doing it. There's some element of that is to help somebody else. And so that's what I do every day. I wake up every single day with the idea and the mindset of today, how can I help somebody? Whether it's that at work, doing my job of protecting this community, whether that's at home, in my relationship with my wife, is that in my relationship with my kids, is in that relationship with the people I do life with, both spiritually and out in the community. We want to choose every single day to have an opportunity to help the next person. And so how do you do that? Some people have a problem getting started. That's kind of like one of those things, like, well, how do I help? How do I help? You call me one. I always can find somewhere you can help somebody. But literally just look at the people in your life. Look at the people that you do life with every single day, and ask them, hey, how can I help you? It's like, how can I be of service? How can I make a change for you in your life? And so that's how you get started. You get started with just the people that you do life with, whether that's at work, whether that's at home with your own family, at your church or your faith institution, whether that's at the basketball court, the gym, anywhere where you go. somebody can be there to help. And you're just asking that question, how can I help, can be the difference in what makes that person, succeed. What gets that person through that day sometimes. Sometimes maybe getting through that next few hours just by you asking that question. So super excited to be with you all this week, and I hope you all have a great week.
You've been listening to Community Conversations with State Attorney Bain. Join us again next Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. for another episode. Looking for real talk on the criminal justice system and how we can work together to make our community